Well, welcome students. So in today's lecture we shall be learning about the HMP shunt pathway, also known as hexose monophosphate pathway. It is a phosphogluconate pathway, also sometimes referred to as pentose phosphate pathway, triple P. So don't get confused in its name. It is sometimes also referred to as pentose phosphate pathway or phosphogluconate pathway also. So these are all its names. So don't get confused. These are one and the same thing. Phosphogluconate pathway. Now what is the HMP shunt? This is an alternative pathway to the glycolysis and TCA cycle for oxidation of glucose. So this is an alternative pathway for oxidation of glucose other than glycolysis and TCA cycles. So this is another pathway. We can say this is another road that is reaching to the goal of oxidation of glucose. However, it is more anabolic in nature since it is concerned with biosynthesis of NADPH and pentoses. So the pathway starts with glucose 6-phosphate and no ATP is directly utilized or produced in HMP pathway. So where does this occurs? The enzymes of HMP shunt are located in the cytosol of the cell. This is mainly occurring in the cytosol. The tissue such as liver, adipose tissue, adrenal gland, erythrocytes are highly active in HMP shunt. So most of these tissue are involved in the biosynthesis of fatty acids and steroids which are dependent on the supply of NADPH. So this is basically for the synthesis of NADPH. Now let us start with the reaction of HMP shunt. It is occurring in two phases. The number one is the oxidative phase of HMP shunt. This is the oxidative phase of HMP shunt. The glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase is an NADP dependent enzyme that converts glucose 6-phosphate to 6-phosphogluconolactone. 6-phosphogluconolactone. So now let us first draw the structure of glucose 6-phosphate. So I will be drawing the cyclic structure. You all remember we have also covered the glycolysis in this structure. So students, you must know both the cyclic and the straight chain structure for glucose. So this is the cyclic structure for glucose 6-phosphate. Now in presence of enzyme glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, it accompanies the synthesis of NADPH molecule plus it converts it into 6-phosphogluconolactone. Now what will be the changes here? I shall be highlighting them. How the conversion takes place. First of all, let us write the name of enzyme. This is glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. This is accompanied by formation of one NADPH molecule. and this all occurs in presence of magnesium ions. So the changes are like this. So the rest of the structure is same. So while you are drawing the structure for glucose, remember the positions of hydrogen and OH molecules. So don't get confused in them. So this is the structure for 6-phosphogluconolactone. 6-phosphogluconolactone. The first reaction that is catalyzed by glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase is the regulatory step in the HMP shunt molecule. Now the further steps are the conversion of 6-phosphogluconolactone into 6-phosphogluconate and then to ribulose 5-phosphate. So this is the main oxidative phase of HMP shunt. Now let us start with the next reaction. The 6-phosphogluconolactone is converted into 6-phosphogluconate in presence of enzyme gluconolactone hydrolase. So the name of enzyme is gluconolactone hydrolase. And this is accompanied by one water molecule hydration reaction. So 6-phosphogluconolactone is converted into 6-phosphogluconate. So what are the changes? We shall be understanding them. At the first position comes the carboxylic group and it changes into a straight chain structure. So students, you all are familiar with the straight chain structure of glucose also. So this is somewhat similar to that. Now this is a structure for 6-phosphogluconate. 6-phosphogluconate. Now the next structure is formation of ribulose 5-phosphate in presence of enzyme phosphogluconate dehydrogenase. This is the last reaction of the oxidative phase of HMP shunt. This occurs in presence of enzyme phosphogluconate dehydrogenase. This is acting in the presence of phosphogluconate dehydrogenase. And during this reaction, one NADPH is produced, which is accompanied by removal of one carbon dioxide. So this is a decarboxylation reaction also. And this reaction occurs in presence of magnesium ions. Plus here is a removal of one carbon dioxide molecule also. So a carbon dioxide molecule will be removed out, and this is known as a decarboxylation reaction that is resulting into the formation of a new compound known as ribulose 5-phosphate. So this is a 5 carbon containing compound rather we can say a ketose type of carbohydrate having a ketone group in it. So this is the structure of ribulose 5-phosphate. So students, till this it is the oxidative phase. You can see from here the glucose 6-phosphate is converted into 6-phosphogluconolactone, then to the 6-phosphogluconate and ultimately to the ribulose 5-phosphate. Now the next reactions are the non-oxidative phase of HMP shunt. It is concerned with the interconversion of 3, 4 and 5 and also a 7 carbon monosaccharide. The ribulose 5-phosphate is acted upon by an epimerase enzyme to produce xylulose 5-phosphate, while ribose 5-phosphate ketoisomerase converts ribulose 5-phosphate to ribose 5-phosphate. So this is a really complex reaction and we shall be understanding it slowly. Now let us start from here. The second phase known as non-oxidative phase. So this is a very critical reaction in this, so don't get confused. It seems to be a long reaction, but when we shall be drawing it, it is very easy one. Now ribulose 5-phosphate is undergoing two reactions. So two different types of enzymes will be responsible. The first one is ribulose 5-phosphate epimerase. This is ribulose 5-phosphate epimerase. So in this, in the presence of this enzyme, this is forming xylulose 5-phosphate. Now just see the structure, how it is different from ribulose 5-phosphate. Now here is the difference between the HO and OH molecule. H will be on this side and OH will be on this side, which is different from the ribulose 5-phosphate. Now this is the structure for xylulose 5-phosphate. And similarly, another enzyme known as ribose 5-phosphate ketoisomerase. Second enzyme is ribose 5-phosphate ketoisomerase. This catalyzes the conversion of ribulose 5-phosphate into ribose 5-phosphate. Now this is the structure for ribose 5-phosphate. Now this is a totally different structure we shall be drawing. Now it is an aldehyde. From ketone it is converted to an aldehyde molecule. So this is how it is changing into a 5-membered aldose. So this is the structure for ribose 5-phosphate. Now the next reaction is occurring in the presence of enzyme transketolase. So in presence of transketolase enzyme, the transfer of 2 carbon moiety from xylulose 5-phosphate to ribose 5-phosphate is occurring, which is causing the formation of a 3-carbon glyceraldehyde, 3-phosphate and a 7-carbon pseudohaptulose. So from here there will be a transfer of 2 carbon atoms, that is leading to the formation of a 7-carbon compound and then a 3-carbon compound. Just see how it occurs. So there is an addition of TPP, that is thiamine pyrophosphate, and occurring in presence of enzyme transketolase. So this is also a 5-carbon compound and this is also a 5-carbon compound. Now where are the changes occurring? The first is we are forming the 7-carbon compound known as pseudohaptulose 7-phosphate. So this is a 7-carbon compound known as pseudohaptulose 7-phosphate. So this is a 7-carbon compound known as pseudohaptulose 7-phosphate. Pseudohaptulose 7-phosphate, and another compound, that is a 3-carbon compound known as glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So you all are familiar with the structure of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, that is forming in glycolysis. So this is the structure for glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Now the next reaction is in presence of enzyme transhaldolase, that leads to again distribution of the carbon atoms and thus results in formation of a 4-carbon compound and a 6-carbon compound. So next there will be again now in presence of enzyme transhaldolase, this is converted into a 4-carbon and a 6-carbon compound. So students, remember, this is a 7-carbon compound and this is a 3-carbon compound. Now there will be again a redistribution. So a 3-carbon fragment, mainly dihydroxyacetone, from pseudohaptulose 7-phosphate will be transferred to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and which will give rise to formation of fructose 6-phosphate, and a 4-carbon erythrose 4-phosphate will be left out from pseudohaptulose. So see how this occurs. The first compound that is formed being is erythrose 4-phosphate, so this is erythrose 4-phosphate, and the next compound being formed is fructose 6-phosphate. So you all must be familiar with the structure of fructose 6-phosphate that we have drawn in glycolysis. Now this is a structure for fructose 6-phosphate. So this is a 6-carbon fragment or a 6-carbon compound, and this is a 4-carbon compound. Now the next structures will be changing from erythrose 4-phosphate and how these will be formed. Now students, also xylulose 5-phosphate in presence of TPP and transketolase can combine with erythrose 4-phosphate molecule to give back glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate. So how this reaction can occur, I shall be showing you without the structures because structures are already done. So we can see the xylulose 5-phosphate and erythrose 4-phosphate in presence of TPP and transketolase enzyme, they can be converted back into fructose 6-phosphate. So the structures are already formed, so I shall not be drawing them, and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. And this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate can undergo reversal of glycolysis to form fructose 6-phosphate. To form fructose 6-phosphate. So 2 molecules of fructose 6-phosphate can be regenerated again from this. So this was all regarding the HMP shunt. So now the overall reaction can be represented by, we can see it is a balanced equation. I will be writing the 6 molecules of glucose 6-phosphate, 12 molecules of NADP and 6 molecules of water. So they will be changed into, in presence of a number of enzymes, they will be changed into 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 12 molecules of NADPH plus 12 molecules of 12 protons and 5 molecules of glucose 6-phosphate and 6. So this will be the overall reaction for HMP shunt, and it is unique because it produces both pentoses and NADPH. It is unique because it is involved in synthesis of these 2 molecules. So students, this was all regarding the HMP shunt. So once again we can see there are two phases in this HMP shunt. One is the oxidative phase. In this, the glucose 6-phosphate is converted into ribulose 5-phosphate, and then comes the non-oxidative phase. This is the rearrangement in which 2 5-carbon compounds rearrange to form a 7-carbon and a 3-carbon compound, and then these again rearrange to form a 4-carbon and 6-carbon compounds. So through this, the fructose 6-phosphate is generated, and the erythrose 4-phosphate can further be metabolized to generate the fructose 6-phosphate. So 1 molecule is completely oxidized and 5 molecules are finally recovered from fructose, are finally recovered from this HMP shunt. So students, I hope this is clear to you now. There is not any doubt. So keep revising. I shall be posting the notes in your classroom section.